Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Alejandro Perez, the CGI Nerd, and in this video I'm going to teach you guys how to build this planet here. And once we build this planet, we're going to bring it into Unreal and have it within the game engine with all of the materials and normal maps on a lower poly object inside of Unreal from Houdini. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Okay, to start off, we're going to need to create a sphere, and let's name this planet. Jumping inside of there, we're going to make a low poly planet, and let's bump up the radius to 30 so that we can work with it a little bit easier inside of Unreal. I'm going to switch it over to polygon, and the low poly, I'm going to set it to like value of 6 for the subdivisions. Then I'm going to set up a UV project. In the UV project, I'm going to take the rotation, put it down to 0. That makes it go vertically like that, and then we also want to make sure that it's set to polar, so that way it projects a little bit better for us. I'm going to take all of this, copy paste it, and then now this is going to end up being the high poly geometry, and we don't need the one at the end. This one here, we are going to take the frequency and bump it up to something like 300. Then for display purposes, I'm going to switch over to smooth shaded, so that way we're not worrying about seeing the wireframe underneath. And then let's start working on the look at the planet. We're going to do an attribute VOP. Oh, also on here, we want to make sure that instead of vertices, we're set to points for the projection. Let's go into the attribute VOP now. Let's give ourselves a little bit more space. And I'm going to make sure to save this file really quick, so that way we don't lose work we're doing. Okay, so the two elements that we're going to be working on, just so that we can visualize, is the point data. And then we also are going to be working with the UV data, so we can see that we have information coming into both of those attributes, and we're going to use them in different ways throughout this project. So to start off, what I want to do is add a little bit of noise and come up with the planet information. So I'm going to start off by connecting it into the point data, and I'm going to do a turbulent noise. Now that we have that, I can take the noise and collect it into the color. And let's switch it over. There's a whole bunch of different types of noise. I kind of like the zero-centered Perlin noise for this. I can take the frequency and bring it down, say maybe around 0.1. If you want, you can offset it to create different shapes. Maybe I can make it a little bit more kind of like that. There, something like that. I like it. Okay, and then, so that is going to be kind of our planet shapes. Let's add a ramp parameter. And the ramp parameter we're going to be using here to create the colors for the environment here. So this is going to be a planet colors. And then if we jump out to the planet level here, scroll down, we have planet colors. We can make this blue, make this green. Okay, so I'm going to adjust it a little bit more, but I want to add a fit range really quick to here. And I'll put this at like 0.5. And I'll keep this at 0 here. So that will give us a little bit more of a range to kind of work with for the planet. I'm going to create something kind of like that, and then in between here I'll create another one, but on this one I'll change it to be kind of like a brown color for like beaches and things like that, and maybe make the beaches a little bit kind of lighter in color. And then maybe the green, rather than a neon green, we can do something kind of like this. Okay, that is good enough for our planet colors. So now that I have that, I want to also displace it. So I'm going to take this noise here and let's do a displace along normals and then connect that into the position. And let's increase this, I don't know, like 10. You can see that we're getting kind of mountainous areas. The only weirdness about it is that the water is also bumpy. We probably want that smooth. So let's actually, instead of connecting it directly to the noise here, let's connect it from the fit range. So that pushes that to black, all this, rather than going into the negative direction. I like that a lot better. Okay, so maybe also on here, let's go back to the planet. I want to take some of the peaks and let's turn this kind of white. So that way there's kind of like snowy tops. But only kind of at the highest peaks. Something kind of like that. I like that. Let me save before I go too much further. Then, now that I have that, I want to make sure that I can also get some poles in here. So, I'm going to use the UV map for this. I'm going to go here, and let's do a UV, sorry, not UV, vector to float. And then I'm going to collect the V, which should be the vertical direction, and let's just visualize it here. Make sure that I connected. So I connected the life, which is not what I want. I want the UV. So let's push Y, break this connection. The UV is what I want to connect. Right in here. There we go. So now that we have that, we should have a different look. And it is not, so let's connect it directly over here because I want to make sure that we're getting UV information. We are. So when I connect this over here, should be the V channel. There we go. I don't know why it didn't show it earlier, but here we can see that this is vertical information here. Now what I can do is add another ramp parameter. And on this one, let's call it define poles. and I don't like having spaces, so let's take that out. And then let's go ahead and go to the planet level, and if we scroll down, we have the define poles. I'm going to bring this in, and you can see how it affects it vertically. I'm going to create another white one just by clicking this area. Click on this area, create another black one. I can bring these in, and then switch over a white over to the other side. So by doing that, I can have a kind of mask shape that I get to control how much of the poles are being accessed here on the top and the bottom. Okay, so now let's jump back in here. Obviously that doesn't look like a continent shell or anything like that, so I want to add some noise to the UV. And then let's make this a 3D noise because the UV color is 3D. And let's try Perlin noise. And what I'm going to do is add this noise detail so we can see what that noise detail is going to look like right now. Let's see, Perlin noise, original Perlin. Well, let's use the same one. We had centered Perlin noise, so we'll use the same one. And then let's cut this connection here, and I'm going to add that to this. So let's do an add node, connect that there, and then we'll connect this into the second input. If we bring this back into the color, we should see that we have that noise now that is affecting the poles. That looks good. We just need to adjust this noise so that it's not so small. I can go down with the frequency. That looks like it could be something good. Okay, and then now that I have that, I am looking at the mass, and I might want to adjust the ramp here so that way it is less both on the top and the bottom. So if I bring this down, you can see that we get less landmass. See how much is on the bottom. So depending on how much you want, you can adjust it to be exactly what you need. So that looks pretty good. Let's jump back in here. I'm going to save again. And then now that I am at this stage, I want to make sure that this is bumpy and that we don't get landmass color on here, because if we were to look at the landmass, it's right on that range there. So we have this, and let's say we took this color here and subtracted it there. So let's create a subtract. So this is what we have as our initial value, and then we're going to subtract this as the second value. And you can see that takes off the area of the land there, and I like that a lot. Then after we've done that over here, before the displacement, we need to add back the land. So let's go add, and then we'll add Oopsies. Let's add just a color there. Here, so that's pretty high. We'll adjust that with a fit range. Also, just so that we can get the color, let's add over here, and then we can bring that in there. So let's bring in a fit range. And on this, the source max, if I increase this, I should have it kind of coming up with a little bit better extension there. So obviously this is still too high here. So just decreasing it little by little. Oh, sorry, increasing it can help. So that looks pretty good. It's a little soft, so I can add a fit range here. And then on this fit range, we can lower that value. Oops, but not lower than the other one. So that way we can have something kind of like that. So we can have the polar caps there. That looks pretty good. And then on both of these, if we wanted to, on the fit ranges that we just created, we can adjust the source minimum if we wanted to kind of eat in on the range so that it's not as close. Whoa. It went a little crazy. Let's try that again. Need to make sure that it doesn't connect back in. So maybe something like, I guess, 0.2. And then here I'm just going to put it at 0.2, 0.2, 0.2. So you can see that lines up a little bit, and it gives it a little bit more kind of buffer zone so that it's not right on top of the other land masses. So I like that a lot. I'm going to save here so that way we don't lose anything. Okay, so that's going to be my planet. I just want to make sure that I can also export this into Unreal. So here, this geometry, let's visualize this really quick. We have it exactly what we want. We just want to add a material, but it's going to be a labs quick material. And then this is where we'll plug in the material information. We need to bake that in though. So we can create a maps baker. And both of these are labs. Whoa. I crashed. Okay, give me a second and I'm going to restart this from where I just saved it at. Okay, so now that we have something we like, I want to be able to export this. So I'm going to go ahead and create a material. And also, actually, before I do that, just letting you know that I'm going to be using the labs, side effects labs tab. So You have to make sure that is turned on. And that will give you this for the side effects labs. And you might not have all of these things showing up if you don't click Update Toolset. And the Update Toolset will install everything for you. And then what you can do is restart Houdini, and then everything should be set up with what we need. So in here, I need to connect a map Baker node. And the low input, or the low poly, goes into the first input, and then the high poly goes into the second input. Here we don't have anything yet. I'm going to make sure I keep the channel information here. And then I'm going to go into my drive here, CGI Nerd, Object Delivery Drone, Textures. There we go. So this is going to be our planet texture, and then I'm going to put an underscore and then paste the $sign channel. And then let's save this out as a JPEG. Okay, and then I want to export a normal map and the vertex color. I don't need ambient occlusion, but you can turn on any of these maps that you want to export. Right now, I don't need any of them, and it will increase the render time for these maps. I'm just going to click bake. It'll go through and calculate all of that, so you can see that it is calculating right now, and then in a few seconds. It doesn't take too long with just these two maps, but like I said, if you have a curvature map or something like that, it will take a lot longer. So I've baked out the maps. It looks a little funny here, but let's save so that way we don't lose any work here. And then I'm going to extend this here and build a material. This will allow us to make the importing into Unreal a lot easier. So the material that we want is the lab's quick material. And then we can visualize that there. There is not much right now, but we can go in and find that base color that we had. Base color. And then we have the normal map. So we can get the normal map. So looking at it, it's having a little bit of issue trying to get some of those peaks because they're really separated off from the surface there. We could, if we wanted to, rebuild the mesh here and then have something that works properly. Or we can take if we look at this, make it not pop out as much, but I kind of do like the way that it's popping out right now. So let's see if we can get a remeshed version so that way we get a little bit better export. So what I want to do is go off of here and create an ISO offset, and that creates a kind of cloud geometry over there of it. Then we want to do a convert volume, and that will convert the ISO offset into a geometry. So obviously this is really low sampling, so if we went to 50, we can start seeing that we get a lot better looking surface. We jump up to 100. And you can see that we're starting seeing the land masses. Let's switch over to wireframe, and you can see the number of geometry here. And it's about 30,000 primitives. So maybe 50 will be enough for what I need here. So what I want to do is quadrangulate this. So that way we have quads. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and do a smooth. Let's put it before the quadrangulate. Maybe that will help. So if we connect that here, that's good. So if we look at it here, it's bumpy. Here it's smooth. There we go. And then we can quadrangulate it after that. There we go. So I like the way this looks, and we can see that we've brought the polygon count down to 6,000, which is manageable for us. Then I can connect this into the map here. I also want to do a UV project. Okay, so that's looking pretty good, but I'm having a little bit of kind of overlapping issue here. Now that I'm kind of looking at it. Oh, maybe not. We'll see. We'll see when it exports. Okay, so I have the map here. Let's bake that, and I'll go through the process of baking the geometry for us. And then when that is done, I'm going to connect it to the material. So let me pause this while that's working. Okay, so now that's done, and then I'm going to connect this to a quick material. I have that here, and then base color, textures. That does not look right, and the reason that does not look right is this UV project that I have. I have it on orthographic. Let's make it polar, and that looks much better. Okay, so let me rebake these textures, and that should turn out better next time. Okay, so that was quick. I have the textures. That looks a ton better. Let's connect the normal map. There we go. That looks great. Okay, so now I want to export the geometry here with the textures and everything. So what I am going to do is a file export FBX, and then let's find the destination for this. It's going to be CGI Nerd assets, and we'll just throw it in here. Low poly planet. Okay, and then export. I'm going to save this so that I have everything here that I need, and then I can go to Unreal, and let me open up my folder. Just going to go, starts off here, go to assets. There we go. So we can throw that low poly in and click import all. Here you can see that it brings in all the materials and everything for us. And when we check it, let's throw in the low poly planet. And now that I have that, I can kind of bring it into the world. And let's play this. You can see that we do have the planet here, and it looks great. Alright, so I hope you guys found this useful. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.